Jake here from Jake's History Expeditions. I like seeing old things that once belonged to people that are dead now. Come with me as I explore a building full of this stuff. Today, I'm at the American Civil War Museum in Appomattox, Virginia. Right down the street is the Appomattox Courthouse National Historic Park, which is where General Robert E. Lee surrendered the Army of Northern Virginia to General Grant on April 9, 1865, which makes the theme of this museum make a lot more sense. It's full of Confederate artifacts, some of which were surrendered or left in Appomattox when the Confederates left here to head back to their homes. The first thing you see when you enter the museum room is this sword belonging to Robert E. Lee, which was worn by him during the Appomattox surrender. The next thing I noticed was just how many Confederate flags this museum had. I have never seen so many in one place. My favorites were this first national pattern flag that was believed to have been captured at Appomattox, and this unidentified unit flag of the Army of Northern Virginia, also believed to have been captured at Appomattox. The museum also had this display of Confederate flag sticks that were surrendered at Appomattox. I've seen plenty Civil War flags before, but never the flag sticks themselves, so I thought this was pretty cool. Most really did just look like flat sticks plucked from a tree. There was also this cool display showing what an average Confederate soldier or officer could have been carrying, such as a pipe, extra socks, an 1853 Enfield musket, an officer's sword, an 1860 Colt revolver, ammunition, deck of cards, grooming set, and haversack. The revolver and sword displayed would have been predominantly carried by an officer. There were also many great examples of Confederate officer uniforms, which I learned were paid for by the officers themselves, and I did not know that until visiting this museum. One of the first things that you see in the museum is this uniform frock coat belonging to Colonel Lawrence M. Keat. The coat was extremely well preserved and quite beautiful in my opinion. There was also the uniform frock coat belonging to General John Bell Hood. And this mangled frock coat belonging to General Patrick R. Claiborne. The next section had this mourning veil and this half-mourning bead necklace, which apparently was a part of the final stage of the formal mourning process that was a custom back then. And the field glasses, pipe, and sword belonging to General A.P. Hill. In the center of the room is my favorite display of the entire museum, the uniform tunic and leather gloves worn by General Lee at the Appomattox surrender, as well as the pen that he used at the surrender. The final two rooms had these tiny baby shoes in stylish Confederate gray, as they were made from Brigadier General William Terry's uniform for his daughter in the years following the war. And next to the shoes was the haversack, canteen, coat, and hat belonging to Corporal Thomas V. Brooke, which I thought was cool to see since it closely resembles what I picture in my head when I think of the average Confederate soldier uniform. The room also held the sword, gloves, spurs, and chest belonging to General Joseph E. Johnston, who would surrender his army to General Sherman a couple weeks later in North Carolina. The final room that I'll highlight in this video had one of the most interesting artifacts in the entire museum, the death mask of Robert E. Lee, who passed away in 1870 at the age of 63. The death mask is a creepy and weird concept, but I will say it was cool to look at the actual face of a historic figure that I have read so much about. Seeing a face in a picture does not compare. Well, sorry for ending on the creepiest artifact in the museum, but I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the cool artifacts that the American Civil War Museum in Appomattox, Virginia has to offer. If you want to see more interesting artifacts, or see my future travels to historic locations, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you in the next one.